Hello guys, we welcome all of you. Today in this video we will discuss from point 5 to point 8. In last video we already discussed from point 1 to point 5. Then our 5 point is default EPS bearer establishment, 6 is dedicated EPS bearer establishment, 7 EPS bearer deactivation, and last one is intra LTE handover. Okay, we will discuss about all these points. Before starting this video, if you are new on my channel, then please subscribe my channel and don't forget to press bell icon for most and more related videos. So let's start. Fifth one is default EPS bearer establishment. Okay, so let's start. The default EPS bearer establishment process is used to establish a default EPS bearer between the UE and the PGW. Okay, the default EPS bearer is always established as a part of the attach process. In addition, to allow the UE to be connected to multiple PDN simultaneously, additional default EPS bearer can be established. Okay, the EPS bearer establishment process, here you can see in this figure. First one is UE send a PDN connectivity request to the network, and in response network send activate default EPS bearer context request. Okay, then UE send message to the network activate default EPS bearer context accepted. The next one is the PDN connectivity rejection process, you can see in figure 5, and the default EPS bearer context activation rejection process you will see in figure 3. Here this is figure 2 and this is figure 3. Okay, first we discussed about these topics. Here you can see the UE request a connection to the PDN by sending a PDN connectivity request message towards the network. Okay, if default EPS bearer establishment is done as a part of an attached process, the PDN connectivity request is sent in an attached request message. If the process is done apart from the attached process, the PDN connectivity request is sent without the attached request message and timer T3482 is started. Second point is the network answer to the request by sending an activate default EPS bearer context request message, and if the EPS bearer establishment is done as a part of the attached process, the activate default EPS bearer context request message is sent together with an attached accept message. And if the process is done apart from the attached process, the activate default EPS bearer context request is sent without the attached accept message, and timer T3485 is started and timer 3482 is stopped if running. Okay, third one point is the UE accept the request and answer with an activate default EPS bearer context accept message. If EPS bearer establishment is a part of an attached process, the message is sent together with an attached complete message. After the network has received the message, the default EPS bearer is established and the timer T3485 is stopped if running. Okay, if PDN connectivity request is rejected, here you can see if the PDN connectivity request is rejected by the network, the MME sends a PDN connectivity reject message to the UE. The message contains a cause value which indicates the reason for the rejection. Timer 3482 is stopped as UE receives the rejection message. Okay, if UE can reject the default EPS bearer context activation of the network, you can see in this figure, by the sending an activate default EPS bearer context reject message towards the network. This message includes a cause value indicating the reason for the rejection. Okay, next one is dedicated EPS bearer establishment. In this, the dedicated EPS bearer establishment process is used to establish a dedicated EPS bearer between the UE and the PGW. Okay, dedicated EPS bearer establishment may be initiated as a part of the attached process or separately. And the EPS bearer establishment is initiated by the network, but also the UE can request the process by sending a bearer resource allocation request message towards the network and by starting the timer T3480. And if no answer to the request is received before timer 3480 expire, the UE tries to resend the message. After 4 failed retransmissions, the process is declared failed. Okay, as the MME receives the bearer resource allocation request message from the UE, it can either accept the request and respond with an activate dedicated EPS bearer context request message. Timer 3485 is started and reject the request and respond with a bearer resource allocation reject message or request for a modification to the bearer parameters by responding with a modified EPS bearer context request. That is timer T3486 is started, and as the UE receive one of these three messages, it stops the timer T3480. Okay, and if the UE accept the context request, it respond with an activate dedicated EPS bearer context accept message or with a modify EPS bearer context accept message depending on the MME request type. Okay, and the UE might also reject the context request by sending a activate dedicated EPS bearer context reject or a modify EPS bearer context reject message towards the network. After the network receives the UE response, the timer T3485 and the timer 3486 is stopped. Here is the different variations of the dedicated EPS bearer establishment process. Okay, here you can see in this figure, bearer resource allocation request is divided in three parts: activate dedicated EPS bearer context request, a modify EPS bearer context request, bearer resource allocation reject. Okay, next one is EPS bearer deactivation. How EPS bearer deactivate? Here you can see the EPS bearer deactivation process is used to deactivate both default and dedicated EPS bearer. Okay, the process is initiated by the network, but also the UE might trigger it by requesting the deactivation. Here you can see in this process, UE receive a message from the network deactivate EPS bearer context request, and then UE send a message deactivate EPS bearer context accept. Okay, the network sends a deactivate EPS bearer context request to the UE, which include a cause value indicating the reason for the deactivation. Okay, it will send cause values. What is the reason of deactivation of default and dedicated EPS bearer? As request is sent, the MME starts timer T3495. If the UE does not answer to the message before timer T3495 expires, the request is resent. Okay, and the retransmission is repeated 4 times. After the 5th expiry, the MME deactivates the APS bearer locally. Okay. Second point, UE deletes the APS bearer context and respond with a deactivate APS bearer context accept message after receiving the deactivation request. And the UE has no option of refusing the deactivation when the MME receives the deactivation accept message and the timer T3495 is stopped. The process is finished. Okay. Next one is intra LTE handover. Here you can see in this figure UE source inode B and target inode B. First message is measurement control, second one is measurement report, handover decision, handover request, admission control, and then is handover request acknowledge. Okay. So let's start. The intra-LTE handover process can be divided into 3 main phases: handover preparation, handover execution, and third one is handover completion. Okay, the handover preparation phase is you can see in this figure, and handover execution phase you will see in figure 7 here. Okay, in the handover preparation phase, the network is prepared for the handover and the required resources are reserved. And in the handover execution phase, the UE is informed about the handover, packets forwarding is started, and the UE connection state is transferred to the target inode B. In the last phase, the handover completion, the downlink data path is switched from the source inode B to the target inode B. Okay, and the packet forwarding is stopped, and the inode B can specify different measurements reporting threshold for the UE with a measurement control message. The measurement reporting can be either event based or periodic. Okay, when the measurement reporting threshold is fulfilled, the UE sends a measurement report message to the serving inode B. If the cell reselection condition is fulfilled, the handover process is initiated, and the source inode B makes a handover decision based on the context of the measurement report and cell reselection parameters. The source inode B send a handover request message to the target inode B. Based on the amount of available resources, the admission control of the source cell decide if the incoming connection can be accepted. If the handover is accepted, target inode B reserves the necessary resources required for the connection, and the target inode B acknowledges the handover request. Okay, and the source inode B sends a handover command message to the UE and starts forwarding the downlink user data to the target inode B. This is a critical point in the handover process. If the UE receives the handover command successfully, there is no more need for a radio connection between the UE and the source inode B. The source inode B prepares the target inode B for the handover by transferring the UE context to it, and the target inode B starts to buffer the traffic forwarded by the source inode B. Okay, and the UE starts the handover expiry timer T304 and establishes the connection to the target inode B by using the random access process, and after successfully connecting the target cell, the UE stops timer T304. After the completion of handover process, the UE sends a handover confirm message to the target node B. Okay, that's all. Thank you.